Hello! So this is my very first tutorial video. I've done some Flosstube videos, so I'm a little bit more used to talking to the camera now. But this is my first time explaining what I'm doing, so this I'm hoping will go well. The whole point of this group is to continue the art of cross stitch to new members. Cross stitch is a great stress reliever if you need a few minutes at the end of your day to just sit down and not think about anything. This is a great hobby for that. So what we're going to start with, this video is going to be about what you need for a pattern. So the first pattern that we're going to work with, I have uploaded the PDF in the files of the group. So this is Favorite Brew by Hands On Design. It's a free pattern. They've released that to be distributed. A lot of times you can find free patterns in almost any cross stitch group. So this one here does call for different colors than what we usually use. I prefer to use DMC. So what they've done is they've put the DMC number in parentheses beside the name of the thread that they were using, the custom thread. A lot of patterns will do that. They'll have like custom dyed threads with Threadworks or other companies, and then they'll just add the DMC equivalent beside it. DMC is another brand that is found in most stores like Michael's, some Walmarts in the States, a few in Canada, but not many. And then, of course, local needle shops. Here in Moncton, we have the Stitch Bug and Seaside Stitching. So try to find your local shop and support them. So what we have here, our pattern. On this pattern, most patterns will tell you how big you need. This one doesn't, so we need to do some counting. So each square is generally 10 squares by 10 squares. The middle ones especially because they are full-size squares, but on the edges you do need to count the little squares to make sure. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this one's only 9 across, but 10 high. The end one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 5. So that'll be 14 plus 3 tens, it's 44. Going this way, so it'll be 44 squares across. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 24, 34, 44, 54. 54 by 44. So 54 by 44. What that tells us is how many squares we need on our fabric. As long as you have at least 54 by 44, you are good to go. So this fabric here is an 18 count Aida. It's a small piece that I had dyed up, so I'm just going to use it for this here. How we transfer 54 by 44 is, of course, using a little bit of math. The starting point, some people have a hard time starting because they don't want to do the math. The easiest way to think of it is, excuse me, using your fabric count. This is an 18 count. So that means that there is 18 squares per inch on my fabric. So I would divide 18 by 54, and that would give me how many inches I would need for fabric. There are there are apps out there that do this math for you. It was a big need, so it came about. The one that I will add ones in the link, actually. That'll be a lot easier because I don't remember them by name. So once we have our fabric figured out, The next thing that we need is our floss. So that is the numbers that are in the brackets. It is called embroidery floss. And those are these colors right here. I have all of them on hand. So these are the colors of our potion and books. So these, what they are on, are called bobbins. Most people have two systems. There's either the bobbinated system or the floss away bags, which is just throwing your floss in a little bag. I like the neatness of the bobbinated ones, so that's what I prefer. You can find your bobbins in a pack like this. DMC, you pop out those little cardboard pieces and you wrap your floss around it. Sometimes that can be a night of relaxation on its own. So once you have your colors set up, there's 6 colors in this one. Each skein is about, depending on where you are, usually you will find them at Michael's for about 79 cents a skein. So less than $6 for these colors here. The Aida, you might not be able to find a perfect matching size, so you would need to buy a roll, which can be anywhere from $4.99 to $18.99, depending on where you are and how big of a roll you are buying. On each roll, it will have the size in inches of how big the fabric is. So just be sure to buy a big enough piece to match your pattern. Sorry. So there are 2 ways that we can stitch. I keep hitting my camera stand, I'm sorry. We can either stitch in hand, which is holding the fabric like this. I do this for small patterns like this one. Bookmarks, things like that. It's much easier. The hoops don't always fit very well. There are also stitching hoops you can use. To apply a hoop, you are going to untwist the tension knob, pop out the bottom frame. This round solid piece here, you will place it underneath your fabric, just like that. Take your hoop, fit it on top, and press down to get your fabric in the hoop. So generally when you do this, you will want to, you might need to loosen it a bit more to get it in place. You want to make sure the object is that your fabric is nice and tight. You'll get much more even stitches that way. I am very used to using hoops, so it is good either way for myself. Some people only stitch in hand. It's entirely your own comfort level. Since I have the hoop on, I will continue with it on. There are 2 ways to stitch as well. You can stitch this way, or you can stitch this way. There's no wrong way. It's how you feel comfortable holding your project. I was taught this way, so this is the way I usually stitch. Now, from here, you will need a needle, of course. I have 2 needles here to show you today the difference. This one here is the embroidery needle. Now, the embroidery needle is a little blunt. I can poke my finger and it won't go through the skin, unless you poke really, really hard. It does happen, but try not to do that. There's also a long eye. I'm not sure if you can see that. See how long that is? So it gives a little bit more wiggle room to get the thread in. This is a sewing needle. So this works with regular sewing thread. The eye is a lot smaller and the end is sharp. Still not poking me through because it's a big enough needle, but it's a sharp end. So you can use this. There's no wrong way to do it. The only reason there's a difference is the sharp one tends to split the threads. So when it goes, if you miss the hole, it'll still go through, but you might not end up with the desired look at the end because you won't end up with a uniform square, X, sorry. The embroidery needle, because it is blunt, It is meant to really find the hole and only go in the hole. It doesn't split the threads unless you force it to. So like even just kind of looking, it won't go through because there's no hole there. Oh, found a hole. Now I'm through. So it does make it a lot easier to stitch, a lot easier to keep things uniform. I'll pick that one up later. So this is really all you need. A highlighter is great if you're working on a paper pattern to highlight the stitches that you've already done. So then you don't lose track. You don't lose your count space. Sorry. Yes, so after that, to get started with the pattern, you would want to find the middle of your pattern and the middle of your fabric. I should have done this before I put the hoop on. So we're going to take the hoop off, and I will show you the easiest way to find the middle of your fabric. No measuring required. So when your fabric is ready to go, to find the middle of it, very simple, fold it in half, line up your edges, line up your middle edges. Don't worry about the corner ones because fabric is always a little bit slightly off, but if your middles match up, that'll bring you right to the center of the fabric. And then from here, do the same thing, fold it again the other way to make a quarter, match up your ends, and then right here is your middle of the fabric. So we'll make that tight point, and when we open, we have a bullseye right in the center. So from here, when you put it on your hoop, you should still be able to see that crease that you've made. And if you were worried about not finding the crease, take your needle and just poke it through the center. There we go, just like that. That is my center starting spot. We'll put our hoop back on. I'm sorry about my shaky camera. I'm trying to not shake it, but it's not working. So from here, we have our hoop on. Our center is still prominent. We know where we are starting. Now, most patterns will tell you where the center is on the pattern. They'll have a little red X or arrows. Most commonly, there will be a little arrow up above and an arrow off to the side pointing, and then you would just follow it like a grid. So we are going to do that, but we have to do this manually. So we've got 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 14 and a half is 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this side. 6, 7 on that side. So I believe the middle would be about here. That should be the center. And then I'm going to, my math is not working out, I'm sorry. 20 and 2. Okay, right here. There we go. So right there is the middle. So now we will follow the pattern down And our first stitch, you can either choose the left or the right one. There is no right and wrong. This is just generally where the middle is. So you can choose any one of those 4 squares to start with. Now for the next step, we are translating these symbols. Oh, sorry, it's not. There we go, trying to get it to focus. So these little symbols here, they are little triangles in the potion bottle. So to go here, we have to match up the triangle. So the triangle is right here, and we are going to be using 3, 8, 5, 3. And that will get us started. So 3, 8, 5, 3. It's this lovely pumpkin orange. And that is the color we will start with. So this will end this video here. This is about 15, 16 minutes. My next video will be starting the pattern and getting your thread counted up. All right, thank you for watching, and I hope this helped you a little bit. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask. Thanks, bye.